Welcome back to another episode of On the Subject. I'm your host, co-founder and CEO, Michael Villardo, and we have an incredibly special guest today. This is someone that I've known who they were, but not known who they were for over 10 years. He's an incredible entrepreneur, social media content creator, comedian, former hockey player, current roller hockey star, and the host of Hockey Night in Scottsdale and the Wet Jeans podcast, Rob Heat Daddy Gucci, but we're going to call him Rob today. Welcome to the show, Rob.
Thank you. That's a hell of an introduction. I appreciate that. But thanks for having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, we're so excited. And I want to always break the ice. Why are you on an education podcast?
I don't know. That's a good question. I'm just trying to switch career paths. I just enrolled in a teaching program, so I'm actually going to be full-time teacher starting soon. But no, I don't know. I'm just trying to say yes to everything besides a few things. But I thought it was a good idea to get to meet you, by the way, because I
Oh,
know
thank you.
we have mutual friends.
Yes.
And yeah, just go on any sort of show I can and have a good experience with it and get to meet new people, all that good stuff.
Yeah, no, I'm a huge fan. And I think someone with your comedy is very polarizing in a great way. I enjoy it, but obviously everyone has their own opinion. But what I think is funny, you have really a point 0.7 GPA.
It was a .92.
A 0.92.
Yeah.
Okay, so he had a 0.92 GPA at
Yeah.
Arizona State, correct?
Yeah.
And so you are such a successful entrepreneur, and that's why I want to bring it back full circle. You did not need a college degree to be so successful. Why do you think education doesn't necessarily tee you up to be successful in the real world?
Oh man, that's a loaded question. I don't know. I think people get caught and they try to follow the footsteps in the person in front of them, and it's hard to go off on your own in an unbeaten path, so to speak. And I just think there's more than one way to do something. Just because like your mom went somewhere, your dad
Yep.
went somewhere, you can have a different avenue and create your own path. Really, I know it sounds cliche, but yeah, it's weird to talk about that coming from a guy who did have below a 1 GPA. But yeah,
But you're clearly landing. Like I was watching, always want to do preparation. Your Wet Jeans podcast has brand deals. Shout out Manscaped. Hey, if you ever want to advertise on the subject, we're all very open for business. Hockey Night in Scottsdale, you're getting on shows like Missing Curfew, Empty Netters. You have really blown up over the last 18 months. It's incredible to watch your story. Entrepreneurship is something that's really difficult to teach in school. You've learned so much on the fly. Can you talk about how you've been just willing to put yourself out there and not really you've never had the lack of courage to take risk? And I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm gonna relate this to drinking, but I have a very rare disease where I don't get anxiety after I drink, and it's really affecting me in a lot of negative ways. But the good news is that when I do put myself out there or do something that might, I might overthink it or be anxious, or I don't really get that from the jump, which is weird because I never talked in high school. I was very quiet, mind my own business. But yeah, I just started doing stuff, for example, like the merch, and
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hell I was
They
doing.
let us get to Friday.
Yeah, exactly. They did somehow again. But I just stopped really trying to follow like a model of what I should be doing and ignored, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but I didn't want to have a blueprint. Oh, you should do this, you should do that. I'm just like, I'm just gonna do whatever I wanted. And it's a lot of failing. It's a lot
So
of
you
trying
learn
to,
through failure.
yeah, I'm not trying to sit here and be a guru, but there was a lot of shit like I messed up, like big time. But it was good to learn from
Well, you
that.
still got to Friday and you're still here.
Yeah, I'm still here, exactly.
So I think that's something that's really special about your story is that you were never afraid to fail and you took so much risk. But one thing that's really interesting about your story is that when I first heard of you, you were the Heat Daddy. You had the Danny Heatley picture on Twitter and you were posting all this really entertaining stuff. And for those of you that don't watch hockey as closely on the pod, follow Danny Heatley. He's a really great player, somewhat controversial just because he had some stuff happen off the ice. And it was just the first time I'd ever seen something around a parody with an athlete, and we're like, "Who is this Heat Daddy character?" And you never showed your face for a while. What made you decide to put yourself out there, and how has that gone for you? It seems like you have a lot of fans now, especially in Canada.
Yeah, Canada is crazy, dude. Like I said it briefly earlier, but when people recognize me or something, it's like, what? It's really weird. It's awesome. It's great. I love when
Do
people
they call you Rob or the Heat Daddy?
both.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in airports that like shouted at me. And I'm just like, dude, how did these people even
You get a lot of comments too on YouTube and TikTok and all these events. Like I was just doing a ton of research. I'm like, people love who you are. What do
Mhm.
you think they love so much about you?
Probably that I just come off like I don't give a shit. Like to answer your question, I didn't show my face because I had a real job. I was in a cubicle. I was doing real estate stuff. Absolutely hated it. Experience though. It was actually cool to learn that business. And instead of pissing my money away, I learned how to like maybe I can put a little money here and there, longevity, so I don't end up living under the one-on-one in Arizona. Because at one point I was just going crazy. But yeah, when I realized that that kind of career path wasn't for me, I said, you know what, what's the worst that can happen? Because I do tweet a lot about here and there, a little drugs, a little alcohol, definitely a lot of profanity laced things. I toe the line, and I decided when I wasn't going to do real estate that I'm just going to go all in to being really who I was, like just joking around, stuff like that, and not really saying, oh, I don't want my boss to see this, or I don't want whoever to see it. The only person I really care seeing my stuff is my mom.
I was
I
gonna
have to
say, because
explain
you sound like you're pretty close with her. What does she think about some of the more R-rated content? How does she respond to it?
You know what? Like, surprisingly well. Like, she's a trooper. She definitely gets concerned. Like, she gets concerned about what I'm doing, especially with the drug references. And she'll see the timestamps on my tweet. Why are you up at 4:43 in the morning? But she gets concerned, but she like gets it now. She definitely didn't at first. She was like, "This is weird." But yeah, she's good with it.
I think, digging in more on this, did anyone at your corporate job, did you like let anyone know, hey, check this out, it's my profile, this is hilarious, you should look at what I'm putting out there? Or were you like, hey, I need to keep this like completely double life mentality and no one's gonna ever know who this is except for me and maybe my 2 or 3 best friends?
Everybody besides one guy, and it's because the guy next to me was a complete savage, and he would sit there and vape and drink like 8 Mountain Dews a day, and then he was recently divorced, so he was going crazy. He was like inviting chicks to the corporate office parking lot, and I'm not going to get into what he was doing with them, but
Middle of the workday.
this guy, he had some screws loose, but great guy. Like, but everybody besides him, to him, I talked about like I do this cool shit on the side. But everyone else, yeah, it was a pretty big. I guess it's not a secret, but I just didn't really want to
So
tell
how did all these NHL guys find out about it? I'm a huge Austin Matthews fan. I actually went to Game 6, and he doesn't know I was there, but a huge fan. Also a fellow Latino hockey player, so very much connect with the story. He follows you. A bunch of other really like famous pro hockey players follow you. Do they know that Rob is Heat Daddy, or like how did they hear about you?
Now they do the ones I'm friends with.
Yeah,
I'm really good friends with a lot of guys in the
yeah,
league. I actually, I, I'm pretty media trained, believe it or
yeah.
not. Like I won't say who I'm friends with or
No,
what.
and I like that. You didn't say anything about who you sold houses, like, really
Right.
loyalty, Young Dolph, loyalty above
Shout out
all
to Young
else.
Dolph.
We love Young Dolph,
R.I.P.
RIP, loyalty, trust is everything. I completely agree, and I think that's something that everyone should value more of in this world, is if you have someone who you love or care about and really looks out for you and you can trust them, never let that person go. That's really powerful. So, these guys clearly trust you and they like hanging out with you. Did you meet them through Twitter, or where did you meet them?
Yeah, most of it was guys coming into town in Arizona. They're playing the Coyotes, and there's yo, like we gonna go get a beer, whatever.
Oh my, that's
At f-
amazing.
yeah, at first I was really reluctant to do that because I didn't want to put them in a bad spot or get in trouble or whatever. But eventually, I got to know some of the guys, and they got to know me. And on the internet, I'm definitely like off the 99% of the time. People are like, "Oh, this guy's a fuck douchebag," like whatever, like. But most of the time, and I'm not saying everyone likes me, it's definitely not the case, but these guys were like, "Oh, this is just a fucking relatively regular guy." And I just, yeah, became friends with them. I don't ask them for shit like a lot of
Yeah,
people
that's the
do.
key, because then you're not it shows you have a genuine friendship.
And I don't, there's a lot of people in their world that will ask them for stuff or not really respect their privacy, stuff like
Yeah,
that. And I played too, played a very horrible level of hockey, but I do understand what it's like to be a player a little bit. Obviously, you do too. And yeah, I think maybe my guess is that they respected that. And yeah, just from that, I've been good friends with a lot of guys just strictly through Twitter and just,
shout out Twitter, Jack Dorsey, Elon, Twitter all the way. The one thing there's 2 tangents I wanna go down there, because I really like what you had to you're a real genuine person, and I agree for everyone listening, like, the way that we were able to, schedule this and everything, so easy. A lot of talent can be difficult to be able to get in here. You were so stand up, so I really appreciate it. So one angle I wanna go through, because I think it could, help a lot of our listeners, and it's just fascinating to me as someone who's starting their content career, is how do you deal with the haters? How do you respond? Do you ignore? How do you deal with the trolls? Because when you have how many followers you have across social? Probably close to 1,000,000 across all channels.
not that many. I'd say
250,000 on Twitter.
yeah, it's close to
Yeah,
3 on
3
Twitter, like
3
close to 30 on Instagram,
Yep.
and then just listeners overall, there's quite a bit. So,
Okay, let's say 750,000 for the fans at home, if we're gonna estimate up. You have to be getting some trolls.
oh yeah, I have a guy, I just look up their coordinates and I just send it out to I know a mafia guy in Chicago that just takes care of it. But no, I just ignore it. It's just fake, right? Like the only thing really in real life, I've only had one bad experience in real life with somebody. And other than that, it's just not even real on the internet. I don't really care. Unless I don't have a family yet, but unless somebody's like doing some weird shit where they're coming at my family, you could say whatever you want to me. I really don't care. Like a lot of the times it's hard to explain. I just don't really that doesn't concern me at all. But there's times where I would read it and be like, dude, that's fucking mean. Like, why would you say that?
No, yeah, because that's one thing that I just started posting this year. I've always been an entrepreneur post athletic career, but really seeing the power of content. Look, we met through content, even though putting more pucks on net, even if you shoot 100 times and one turns into, for us, a chance to sell to another school and help people, that is so worth it. Putting ourselves out there, we've gone viral, semi-viral, probably nowhere on your level, 3 times. One was very positive. We're going through right now, and it actually feels really good. Two were somewhat negative. Nothing like controversial or anything, but just a ton of haters.
Hmm.
And the first time, it definitely hurt a lot. It was a very emotional thing, and it's like, wow, man, like the world is ending, like
Yeah.
feeling like a panic attack. Then the second time, though, it was like, oh, okay, I'm starting to get thicker skin. So, do you think like over time you're just numb to it now? It doesn't affect you at all, or
Yeah. I think if you get affected by words like
yeah,
that, that's probably a good thing because you probably haven't been through like too much, but not what you're saying. What you're saying, it's definitely a new experience. You
yeah,
read stuff about you that you're like, I just did the spit and chicklets one,
yeah?
and dude, people are shredding me. And my mom texted me and she's like, why are they saying this? My mom doesn't sound
You
like
were
that. I don't know why.
hilarious on the show, though. I think they need to choose a different sport for the sandbag. So, funny story, we'll bring it back, is, myself and my wife, we actually were at Cicconi's in LA. I don't know if you've been there. You should go there tonight. You'd have a good time. It's on Melrose, beautiful restaurant, Italian spot. I know you're not Italian. You said you're Irish, right? But
Yeah, I'm a mutt,
yeah.
Scottish. I don't even know anymore.
So Cicconi's, amazing place. Biz Nasty was at the sitting at the bar, and we ended up sitting next to him and had a great chat. And so when I saw you guys go on that, I was like, this is going to be pure gold. And I thought you did a great job. And you entertained
Thank
the
you.
fans. I heard they didn't put some of the good content in there though. You got to get the final cut next time.
I think they did a great. I First of all, when they were willing to have us on, I was like, holy shit, like that's
Yeah,
pretty
how'd that
cool.
go? How'd that happen?
Honestly, I don't even know. We were in Edmonton doing a vlog, myself, Jordan Schmaltz,
And
and we were
it's
supposed to.
episode 3, right? Coming out soon.
Yep, coming out soon. And we were gonna do it up there because they were in town for the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It didn't work out. It like rained. It wasn't the right time, and we both happened to be in Vegas at the same time, or we were gonna be. So I said, "Let's do a sandbagger," and I was like, "Absolutely." But yeah, they final cut is. I would never expect that, obviously, but I was just happy to be on it. I was like, I didn't read the comments after. Getting back to what you said
Yeah.
about the comments, you get numb to it and you realize this is not real. If someone comes up to me and they make a big one is people talk about my big teeth, and yeah, my teeth are fucking huge. But if I get
You
upset
have a
at
good
that,
smile. It's happiness.
thank you, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. You're the only one to ever tell me that. But yeah, I think that it was a good opportunity for us to get on a stage like that, especially with him.
It's so big.
Yeah.
So you had 6 a.m. Did you go out all night or did you wake up and go out? Because I couldn't, that part confused me. Is like you were at the bar at the Caesars at 4 a.m., but was that from last night or the morning?
No, so I actually woke up at like close to 4 in the morning because I had a long day the day before and I was like, I'm getting too old to go all nighter or
Yeah.
whatever. And I don't want to be on any substances for this. Like I want to try to keep it besides a mimosa or two, which ended up being a lot more. But I woke up, I went to the lobby bar at Caesars just to get a little buzz. And then the next thing you know, Schmaltzy comes through the lobby with the golf club. He's like, dude, our tea time's like in 20 minutes. So I went from the bar there to filming it, which a lot of people were making fun of my golf swing and saying I was obnoxious, which I was. But in my defense, it was 6 in the morning in Las Vegas.
That sounds like torture.
Yeah, I feel like I was put in a tough spot. I have to be obnoxious at 6 in the morning in Las Vegas after coming from the bars. I'll be accountable for that. I did take a little bit long on the course, but that's showbiz. I
You
don't know.
entertain the fans. That's showbiz. And so the other tangent I want to go on, and then I want to go back to your live shows because I'm really enjoying the content from the live shows and the vlogs. Was your hockey career? So did you grow up? You grew up in Long Island, like the Hamptons area, or what part of Long Island did you
Yeah,
grow up in?
way out east. Yeah, good
Montauk,
area.
or
Yeah, close. East Hampton, but
very cool. So there's closest rink was probably what, the Long Island Gulls, or
the rinks in
nice.
Hot Bog.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you played roller hockey to start. Tell us about your ice hockey journey and how hard that was probably catching up, because a lot of people don't realize, and that's one of the toughest things about hockey. If you don't start playing ice hockey at 8, 9 years old or earlier, it's really hard with the travel programs because these kids are playing AAA at such a young age. It's so intense. There's no sport that I've really experienced like it where they get to the top of the pyramid at such an early age, and it's really hard to break in there.
Yeah. Every tryout I went to, I was just like the new guy. And I had to, I hate to say this, but I had to like basically elbow somebody in the head to get someone to look at me and pay attention. I was also undersized. I didn't hit puberty till I was like 24. I was like this little kid, which everyone, there's, you know how it goes. There'll be
Yep.
13-year-olds with full beards. I'm like, dude, like, what is going on? Are you guys, not to be racist, but are you guys like all Armenian? Like, how do you have beards this big? Like, I just, anyway, I had to stand out. I played roller hockey up until 13, 14. I just loved hockey, man. It was
Yeah.
like, I
Well, you have a
was,
deep passion for the game, and that's why people
yeah.
love you.
Yeah. So I just decided when I'm going to get my license, my driving license, and I think statute of, what's it called? Yeah,
Limitations?
they can't get me for this. I was driving like illegally a little bit to go play ice
At
hockey.
what
It was
age?
probably 14,
And it
15.
was all safe, no car accidents?
No, no accidents, no anything. The only thing is I was definitely small, so if somebody did pull me over, I would have just, my stepfather was a cop, so I would just pull that card. So I was like an entitled little idiot. Worst case scenario, I'll just call my stepdad if
Yeah.
I get pulled over. But yeah, I just would go to tryouts. I was going to tryouts, being like this unknown kid, and found my way onto a couple teams, and yeah, just kept playing as much as I could, really.
Yeah, we were actually just in Syosset because Long Island Goals are using us as their education provider this
Oh,
year.
nice. I got cut
Yes.
from them. So I actually have a bone to pick with that whole organization. But no, they were so good, dude.
They're like arguably the best AAA organization in the country right now. Them or probably the Chicago Mission, and also Chicago Reapers. We're really rooting for them. We're doing a bunch of their kids stuff as well. But yeah, it was first time in Long Island. So you went to high school in East Hampton?
Yep.
What goes on in the Hamptons in the non-summertime?
It's just a lot of local shit,
Yeah.
like just going to the docks and fishing and smoking cigarettes with my uncle. A lot of skipping school to go surfing and boogie boarding. There was a lot of
Well,
that.
so let's talk about that with the school piece. So one thing, obviously, this education podcast, we're super
Oh yeah,
passionate
my
about
bad.
school.
I
Oh,
probably shouldn't say I was
no,
on
we
education.
we really want to invite people to say their truth, and our whole goal here is, and not trying to be sappy on you, but is to help people, no matter what zip code they're born into, have an incredible life. And
Mhm.
there's so many great jobs, there's so many paths out there, and there's this really righteous, pretentious push in the education system oftentimes that everyone needs to do the best in school, go to the best colleges, or else you're
Yeah.
not going to have a great life. But school doesn't speak to everyone. School doesn't
Mhm.
speak to a lot of these students who have grown up in a system where they maybe want to be simulated in a different type of way. And that's why we believe in the video first modality. It sounds like you really did not like school. Do you think that other stuff taught you more about life than school? Like for me, I always talk about hockey and baseball were my top educational experiences. They taught me the grit, the teamwork, the passion, the speaking ability. You think that school lacks some certain fundamentals that could have helped you more?
Yeah, if they taught me about an interest rate and credit card debt, I would have probably
Financial
saved
literacy, yes.
like my hairline a little bit. Like they don't teach any, I don't want to say any, but yeah, to your
It's
point,
okay.
like
No, feel free to be. We've
it's
had some CEOs on this pod who've said they are like look, we had a CEO on the podcast say he wouldn't let his kids go to school.
that's kind of, I respect that. That's cool. Yeah, I just think a lot of it, it's you're trying to stick a round peg into a
Yeah.
square hole or whatever you want to call it. It's really cookie cutter, the system, and I think there's so many ways to, and like you said, my way of learning was just messing up a little bit. But yeah, I was a good student in high school, but I hated it, man. I can't tell you. I felt like I was in, I don't want to call East Hampton High School a prison, but 'cause nice school, but I just didn't feel right. I don't know, everything about it. And
Sitting
just,
at a desk for 8 hours a day isn't good for
dude,
anyone.
even when the bell rung, I was like, okay, so now I got to stand up, and it's so just weird to me. I don't know. Maybe it's just I didn't want to listen, but the fact it was, I don't know, I didn't like
But
it.
you clearly like learning because you love learning about content and comedy.
100. Oh
And
yeah.
see, so if we could get you more feedback on the things you love, like my whole push is if you know you hate something, and I'm sure there were subjects, maybe it was multiple for you that you absolutely hated, let's remove those from the schedule and put things that you love back on it. And it could just be such a better, so longer discussion. We're so passionate about it, but you're here to enlighten us on your story for us to make you look as good as possible and also provide some comedic relief. So we're really enjoying that. I want to talk about the vlogs and the live show. One, how's YP doing? We actually saw him at a few weddings because his former fiance was sorority sisters, my wife.
I think he's doing well.
Yeah.
I haven't talked to him in a minute, but I know he commented on one of our videos, and he was great in Florida. He said, "Hey, this guy's gonna take you guys out into the." I always say Everblades because
Yeah.
the ECHL team.
Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
Everglades.
In Naples. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he lined us up with a lot of good stuff out there. So yeah, he was awesome. And yeah, I think he's doing well. I haven't talked to him in a
Where
bit.
do you get the urge in these videos to say all the off the cuff comments, especially the political comments?
I don't know. It might be like a rare form of autism. I don't know. It's kidding. I don't know, man. I just people think that I'm writing this shit down and like preparing or
That's what I'm
whatever.
wondering. Yeah, like
Yes.
where's you getting your inspiration from?
I don't know. Probably I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. I really
Who are
don't
your
know.
who inspires you as a comedian?
I probably first person that just came to my mind was Daniel Tosh.
Yeah,
Daniel Tosh. Another one I really like, Tony Hinchcliffe.
he is
Guys like that.
hilarious.
Yeah, they're
We
awesome.
went to the roast of Tom Brady. It was at the Forum here,
Oh,
and
nice.
he had a pretty amazing cameo in that.
Yeah, he's hilarious. Just like his kind of, it's not. I wouldn't say he's too dark, but he has that edge to him where I love when people go up on stage try to interrupt them or something, and he just shreds them. I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that, but I'm just being myself, really. To be honest with you, I just yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
because you have the Let Us Get to Friday. But what other merch can we shout out for you? Let Us Get to Friday. Do you
Oh
have anything with the nails yet? Because I know now that's a new thing you say a lot, like, that's so nails. Yeah, I saw you the other day, you were at like a 7-Eleven and there was like a gambling opportunity there, and you're
yeah,
like,
insane. I've never seen that. A lot of people were like, "Oh, dude, go to Illinois. It's everywhere." I've never seen slot machines in a 7-Eleven. Like that to me was like I stood there for I was a little baked, but I stood there for a solid like 45 seconds. I was like, "What? This is sick." But yeah, some stuff we have coming out. I don't want to say just yet because I got to talk to Schmaltz and
yeah,
decide.
shout out Jordan Schmaltz, incredible player and friend, and these two are the most epic cult following in all of hockey, hopefully sports one day. I think what's really cool too is that even like yesterday, you posted something funny because my brother and I were watching this game around Shador Sanders and how
Mhm.
why don't we get more personality like that in hockey? You and Jordan are bringing that hockey. Thank you for doing that. That's how you grow the sport. We need more personality. Like, where do we get more of that?
I don't know. I just think like more players need to get arrested and there needs to be like more headlines. No, not really, but I think it's definitely built into hockey. Like I've had friends, not going to name names, but they've had NHL GMs tell them like, "Hey, you're too lackadaisical. Even though they work hard, but I guess like their personality, they'll go out for a glass of wine, and that's like a big issue.
Wow,
I think it's just, and I can't. I'm on the outside looking in when it comes to the NHL, but it's a very rigid, starting from the
it
top down
is. Bad for the
culture.
game though, and bad for business. Bad for showbiz.
I agree. It's bad for showbiz. And me being the official correspondent for showbiz, I feel like you have to get yourself out there. I'm not saying go full Tyreek Hill. And even though both parties were wrong in that situation, not to get political, but you don't have to get arrested on the pavement of a highway. But I think there's nothing wrong with personality. But in the NHL, maybe they do. It is a little bit more
No, and that's what I
locked
love
in.
about Austin. He's got the earrings,
Yeah.
he's rocking the fashion, he's unique, he's bringing that edge, and I hope more people can do it because it's so great for the game. And that's what you guys are doing with these live shows. You are bringing unique personality to these hockey cities, and oftentimes cities that don't necessarily get a lot of attention, which is so special.
Mhm.
I love that you're going to the Canadian cities because nobody's more. I always tell people who aren't as familiar with hockey, it's like going to Europe for soccer.
Mhm.
You go to a European soccer game, go to a Canadian ice hockey game, and you will feel that passion. It's so special. Are you charging? What tell us more about the business? How does this work? How do you run these how do you run the showbiz?
So everything has been different
Yeah.
so far. Sometimes we'll go for free and then we'll split revenue for alcohol, or sometimes we'll charge tickets, keep 100% of the gate, but they won't fly us out.
Yeah.
Sometimes they fly us out, put us up, but they want to split tickets at the gate, stuff like that. Everything's been an experiment so far. Sometimes half the shows, we're not even like really making money yet. We're just going and getting the reps in and putting on a good show for people and learning the ropes. So there's no set way yet. I hope there will be because I really want Porsche. So I really want to sink myself into horrible debt. But no, right now it's just we're trying a little bit of everything. It depends on the venue. And some venues are really cool about it. Some are like, you guys are nobodies, who cares? But that's all a part of it. We ate shit in Edmonton actually for the first time. 6 shows went really well, didn't bomb. Then we went to Edmonton and I was like, and I was thinking about this before. I'm like, when am I gonna get the microphone and say something and it's just gonna be crickets? Because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Oh,
not.
you're not doing enough shows if it hasn't. So let's talk about that because, and I love this constant theme of the conversation of learning through failure. You have to try to do things to be great, and failure is the fastest way to success. I actually just saw
Yeah.
Ryan Serhant video that show, Owning
Yep.
Manhattan.
Yep.
Great guy, awesome entrepreneur. He said in one of his pillars is like failure is the closest thing to success.
Yeah.
And so you had a crickets moment. Did it hurt emotionally? Did you not care? Did you laugh it off? Like, how did you get past it?
The first thought in my head was, "Up, there it is." Like, because I was waiting for it,
Yeah,
because it was still surreal for us to be on stage and, like, people especially I think we did 6 or 7 cities, I think 5 of them we sold tickets. So,
that's
the fact
amazing.
that people are buying tickets, I first of all, super grateful and happy that people are supporting like that. That's crazy to me that even when we were, like, sold out in Buffalo, I still had this weird thing in my head, "Yeah, I know I'm gonna show up."
And you
Um
wore an O.J. Simpson jersey forward.
Yeah, I did. I don't even know if I'm supposed to say RIP OJ because I feel like if you stab somebody like that, you probably shouldn't rest in peace. But anyway, just yeah, I the first thing that came to my head was there it is. And then I wasn't like embarrassed. It wasn't anything. I just kept it pushing through it. And that one didn't go as well, but it was all right. I was kind of it's almost like a weight off my shoulders, to be honest
Yeah.
with you. I'm kind of like, when is this gonna happen where I get to experience people being like, "This guy sucks," or whatever. And I love Edmonton. I love the people at Edmonton, but the Oilers were down 0-2 in the series. The crowd was very uptight. The last thing they probably wanted is to listen to me. But it was almost a weight off my shoulders. Okay, that's not that bad. And I forget about it, and it's gonna happen. I was watching a video about Adam Sandler, and
Yes,
he
see
did
the
a
inspiration.
yeah, that's a good one
Yeah,
too. I forgot to name him, but he did a corporate gig and he's like, I sucked during it. And
yeah.
it's hard to think, wow, Adam Sandler like ate shit on stage. That's weird. Just knowing that's a part of the business and stuff, it's cool. I almost liked it.
Yeah.
I was like, just to get it out of the way. But hopefully it doesn't happen again.
No,
It will.
it'll
But
happen one more time, but, you know, I think the cool part is that you have such a good attitude about it, and you're always trying to get better in this growth mindset. It's gonna serve you really well in the long run, and so, it seems like you guys identified these Canadian cities for a couple reasons. One, hockey fans, which makes sense, but it sounds like based on some of your analytics that you look at, you have, based on the podcast I've listened to of you and Jordan, over half of your followings in Canada. Is that true? Who is a Heat Daddy fan?
yeah, don't tell Manscaped that I lied to them. I said it's 50, not 50-30. I'm not a math guy, dude. 70-30. But yeah, I'd say it's about half. It's about a little less than half in Canada, but
What about male, female?
oh, female is like 99%. Chicks will not stop watching. No, I'm just kidding. Probably like 4% or something.
Do any females show up to the shows?
Yeah, my not on paper anymore. My manager, which it's weird for me to say that. My manager, because I'm not used to this shit. She was like, "There's girls here." What? Okay. And she was like, "Girls don't listen to your stuff. Girls don't watch it." And I'm like, I guess they do. Maybe they're mentally ill. I don't know why women would ever show up to the show. I'm just kidding. Yeah, they do. They show up
Do
and
you get a lot of DMs from women?
not really. It's mostly dudes chirping me.
What's a chirp that although I've seen a couple of the things you posted where someone like who has no business chirping you and you like, do you have the loyal Barstool, like Dave Portnoy level following where if you put something out about someone, all your fans will attack that
It just
person?
happened. A kid DM me and he was like, "You are one of the worst people I've ever seen in a video," referring to the sandbagger.
Oh,
Um,
wow, this is from that.
yeah,
Oh,
like a lot of mean stuff. And like I said, now it doesn't get to me, but I was just like, whoa, this kid's like pretty rattled. And I screenshotted it, put it on my story, and then they like flooded his account. And I was like, I got to start doing this more often. Like, just I actually felt bad. I was like, I shouldn't do that, but yeah, people will go at them like pretty hard. Like it's weird. Like you said, it's like cult. It's even when you brought up Canadian cities, I
yeah.
couldn't walk through Toronto without people like rolling down their
In
windows.
the city.
Yup, shouting at me in the airport, everywhere I went, and I was like, "Dude, what is going?" I thought
So
it was a
why don't you
joke.
move there? Or do you not like the tension? Do you like the fact that in Scottsdale you could keep a lower profile?
No, I'm not there yet. I'm sure hopefully it'll get to the point where I just lose my mind and just like resort to drugs and alcohol and just have a complete meltdown and have to move to the British Virgin Islands or something for a little bit and just like live on a hammock. But for right now, it's cool. Like it's really cool. Like I brought up my mom
Yeah.
earlier. I was in Florida, not to fucking brag about this shit, but in the concourse, people kept coming up to me. She's like, "Who are all your friends?" I'm like, "I don't know these people." So that's a really cool experience. But in Canada, yeah, like Toronto was awesome. The people were amazing. Yeah, we go there. The chicks are really nice up there. I just got dumped recently. It's really cool.
Arizona girl, or where's she from?
I don't want to bring her
Oh,
up.
okay.
It's
Oh,
not,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
not a fresh wound.
Okay.
I acted like it was a fresh wound, but no, it's nice to go to an environment that appreciates like your
Oh, it's
work and
so
stuff like.
fun. So I'm assuming Arizona State was what brought you to Arizona.
Oh,
So you went there for ASU, and shout out Sun Devils, incredible school. You lasted how many semesters?
Oh, I graduated.
Oh, you have a degree.
Dude,
Nice. What's your degree in?
it's actually in film, but I do have
Wow.
I have a story about
Yeah, let's
this,
hear it.
which so wait, what was I just gonna say? Oh yeah. So I went to Arizona State and I was gonna drop out. I really wanted to
With
drop
the
out.
0.9 or 1.9?
I was 0.92. So it was
0.92.
below one. I got suspended from hockey for academic probation. Then I got back. I broke my foot. And I was like, dude, like, now I got to rehab my foot. I just kept getting hurt. Wanted to drop out. And my mom didn't want me to drop because she's going to hate that I'm going to say this, but she dropped out of you can't finish University of Central Florida. She's like, I regretted it. Don't do it. So I finished. But in order to finish, I had to do summer school every single summer. But my brother did half the classes. So it's all.
How did he do that?
Probably shouldn't say that on a fucking education.
Was it because it was online school or?
Yeah, it was like online. I switched to online. It was cheaper to do online. So they actually, I guess
No, cheating's a huge thing. And
sorry about that. I don't know.
No. So a lot of our competitors, you can go on Reddit or these other providers and literally pay someone to finish the course. It's really, for me, it's sad as an educator. Like it makes me sad. And that's why for our product, we made it really hard to cheat just because we want kids to get the best learning experience. But what you did is very common and that happens a lot. And I think it's crazy that these schools, they just want to turn a blind eye because you graduating gets them more money and it helps their stats.
Yeah.
Graduation rate. And so the incentives aren't aligned. The schools don't care enough about, or the vendors and the shout out our competitors, they don't care enough about these kids doing well, but we do. And so but I want to talk about the Arizona piece. So you stayed there, you lived there, but no, there's no NHL team there anymore.
No.
Why are you staying? You just love it there? Or?
Yeah, I do like it there.
It is a great city.
I hate the summers. People are like, "Oh, you don't."
Well, you go back to Hamptons.
Yeah,
Pretty nice gig. Yeah,
I am lucky. And also I do want to just say this. I'm very reluctant to say I'm from there because people automatically think you're some like trust fund baby and stuff like that, which is not. I'm very local. My family actually goes back like literally over 100 years there, 150. There's a book about it that I got that I didn't read. But
if you live there in the winter, you're not one of those people. Like to your point, like
right,
if you grew up and went to high school there, it's a very maritime community, right? A lot of people, fishermen,
teachers, police officers, stuff like that. Sorry, I went off topic there. What was the thing
saying how you ended up in Arizona, but you hate the summers. But I'm just like, you have this Canadian cult following. Do you not think your career might blow up if you moved to Toronto or Vancouver? Couldn't deal with the cold again?
I don't know. I don't want to deal with the cold. I don't want to like shovel the driveway unless I got a heated driveway, which would be sweet. I think that would have to be like a factor. And like heated tiles in my bathroom floor, like it would have to have that or I can't do it. I can't do the colding.
Heated toilet seat?
Yeah, everything heated, like everything. But yeah, I really do enjoy Arizona. The team living's crazy. It's
sad.
Like the sixth biggest city in the country or something. Like there's got to be a team there. There's a good market there. It's just I don't want to speak poorly on the old management or anything.
Also, it's funny before you do that, even though I invited you, we actually are close to hopefully having Javier on the show.
Okay, yeah, and it's like
we don't know him, but he finally responded. Latino NHL owner, there's not many. Like he's the first one ever. The connecting story, and he said he's down to come on the show. But it's sad what happened there, and I think they're gonna have a good experience in Utah. Though the fans seem really into it, and it seems like a really great owner. But Arizona needs a hockey team.
They need one. I'm actually I know this guy, and he's very financially well off, and I've been drunk texting him every time I drank that we need to get the team back. And I'm saying we for some reason.
You were about to do color commentary like a Manning cast, right? What happened there?
Yeah, I got fired off of there, which is
why?
So we did basically a test run of a Manning cast, and it was on TV, like for real.
Oh, so this was on live TV.
But we didn't promote it. We did a test run. It's hey, if you're in Arizona and you turn on in regional coverage, you can find us. And I had people like, dude, you're on TV. We didn't promote it. We just did a test run.
Is it still out there? Can I watch it somewhere?
No. So I'll tell you what. So this is what happened. So we were going to do the real test run, the real thing. It went great. Then we're going to promote it. I get a phone call from somebody in the Arizona organization, and they just said, because of a tweet that you made, the advertisers will not work with you. And I said, can I talk to them? And they're just like, they won't talk. And I was like, that makes no sense. Just because I tweeted about doing cocaine off the back of a toilet doesn't mean that I'm really like that. But they like wouldn't give me a chance. And that's just one door closes, another will open type thing. But we're going to do a broadcast for them. That's actually why they relocated the team. It's all because of my tweet.
How did Jordan respond to that as your co-host?
Good. That kid, I don't want to call him a kid, but He has a really good head on his shoulders. He actually, a lot of the times, keeps me grounded. Not to pump his tires. I don't want to kiss his ass too much, but he has a really good equilibrium. I don't even know if that's the right word, where don't get too high, don't get too low. Where I feel like when I first met him, I was just the opposite. I was just like all over the place. But he wasn't pissed. He was like, you know what? We're just gonna kick the door down somewhere else and find an opportunity elsewhere, because it was so stupid to it was the point where if you don't want to work with us, then I don't want
It's
to do you.
surprising because if you look at even let's go to the Olympics, for instance, one of the most broadcasted sporting events out there. Some of the biggest ambassadors there, Snoop Dogg, who it does a lot of illicit behavior. I guess some of it's legal now. And by the way, I'm being agnostic here. I'm not saying what they're doing is right or wrong, just more so bringing facts to light. Alex Cooper from Call Her Daddy, who's one of the most successful podcasters out there. Her initial content was all extremely X-rated. You know what I'm saying? But it brought attention, and then she moved it to where she wanted to go. While definitely some of the stuff that you said maybe has crossed some boundaries, it's not like you're attacking anyone or trying to hurt them. You're telling your own story, and the authenticity clearly resonates with your audience. And I'm just really hoping that you guys get another chance, because I can tell you guys are really working hard at it. And like, how do you manage that? You have two shows, Hockey Night in Scottsdale and Wet Jeans. How do you manage that? What's it like being a multifaceted entrepreneur?
It definitely takes some preparation to do more than one show. In the beginning, it was like, okay, I'm just gonna get this microphone, record whatever comes to my mind, and it'll go good. And then it's okay. If there's gonna be any sort of longevity, you gotta dig a little bit deeper and prepare. And then when you take on a second show like Hockey Night in Scottsdale, it's a little bit more of that. So you can come off as a shithead online and stuff, but behind the scenes, you do have to like reel it in a little bit and realize that like you have a responsibility to be entertaining to people. These people, they don't want to
It's a
tune
lot
in.
of work. It's hard.
Yeah. So I think just in that way, just staying focused. No one's telling you like, hey, you got to do this, you got to do that.
Do you have
You
any
have to be
coaching
disciplined.
whatsoever, or is it all just on your own?
No, I'm just being honestly, Jordan helped me with that too.
Yeah.
And I realized I got to be a little bit more disciplined here. I remember I went through a little stretch where, for example, if I had to do a show like this and let's say I was hungover or just not feeling it, I would push it off. And
Yeah.
that's just not the way to go. You can't just you got to do shit you don't want to do. And
I agree.
I'm
That's
not trying to,
discipline.
yeah, I'm not trying to be like I'm a guru or anything, but when it comes down to answer your question, it's just staying disciplined and being prepared for stuff and not just winging it, I guess you could say.
Nick Saban says that he's like, discipline is doing the things that you know you have to do that you don't want to do
Mhm.
when you need to do it. And comfort is doing things that you're not supposed to do, but want to do when you want to do it. And discipline over comfort every day of the week. So that's a really beautiful tie in there. Why don't you and Jordan have a show more often, though? You're doing What Jeans more often than Hockey Night in Scottsdale. Why is that?
I'll break the news right now. We're actually coming out with a show, and the first one is tomorrow.
Oh
So,
my goodness,
yeah.
let's go. So you'll be back in Scottsdale?
No, we're gonna do it remote for the first
Yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah.
Actually, I might be, depending on how tonight goes. I don't know. I got a
Where are you,
hotel.
where are you going tonight?
I'm not sure. Somewhere in the Marina Del Rey area.
That's pretty far from here.
Is it?
Not like far, but it's not like close.
Yeah, I'm supposed to be down there, but we're gonna do instead of just a regular podcast, we're gonna do a live broadcasting on YouTube, radio style. Right now, we're gonna go every Monday night, 6 p.m. Arizona time, and we have some topics, and we're just gonna have a show. So that's
I like
actually,
Barstool style. The
yeah.
rundown. What I was gonna say is like, why wouldn't a TSN or something of that nature end up picking someone like you two up to do a show in Canada? I feel like you'd have a great audience there.
I don't know. And my asking price is not that high. Like I'm just, if you give me a contract for anywhere between $5 and $6 million, like I wouldn't have a problem with signing on to somebody. So I don't know why they're not. But no, I don't know. We'll see. Like it's definitely you have to, like I said, kick the door down a little, especially with me. People are very hesitant to work with me right now, and I get it.
Are a lot of people hesitant? You've been on a lot of podcasts
100%.
lately, though. You've been on Spin Chicklets, which is Barstool, and
Yeah.
then Empty Nesters, which is Friday Beers. Like really solid production behind it. What's the hesitancy?
The Spittin' Chicklets guys were the first ones to really give me a shot, actually. So shout out to them. And before that, there was a lot of things where I was coming at people trying to do stuff, and they're just like, "There's no way." Like, but now it's turning a little bit where I don't know. It's not like people don't want to work with me. I think they were just reluctant, as they should be, because I was just an anonymous guy under 2 years ago. So they're
That's
like,
what I'm
well,
saying.
so I have to earn my stripes
It's
too.
also fun to see the arc, the career
Mhm.
arc, the personality arc. what you were putting out there and how your content evolves and matures over time,
Yeah.
that's really special. And then people root for you even harder and they want you to be the best and happy. And, I'm super happy for you. I'm so glad that we finally got to do this. The biggest thing I wanted to make sure we're able to talk about before we tie this in to an end here is if you were to go back and speak to your high school version of yourself, what would you say and why, and how would you help that younger Rob Gucci?
I would definitely say start getting used to tequila first because there's less of a hangover. Probably just drink clear stuff and stay away from beer and rum and cokes. Just destroys your teeth. But no, in all seriousness, to my high school self, holy shit.
What birthday are you, by the way? Are we allowed to disclose that?
92.
Me too.
Yeah,
Wow,
not
that's awesome. Let's
you
go.
played in USHL, right?
So I played once upon a time. I'm a has-been now, but I played on the development team.
Oh, you did?
I was
Holy
on the
shit, you guys, I like looked
Yeah,
up
I
to you
I was
guys.
on the
I
development
fucking
team, committed to Ohio State. Then I ended up playing baseball in college. Pretty big pivot. So I went and played at UPenn and Purdue. So UPenn in the Ivy League.
nice.
And then back then there was no transfer portal, so I graduated early to play 1 year at Purdue to try to get drafted. Failed. I've been doing entrepreneurship and it's been a great run. And yeah, so 92 birth year. No, so at your age or our age, excuse me, is a really great team out east was the Mid Fairfield Blues. They were
Okay.
the best team from our age group. They won a national championship. But I will say for our birth year, the hockey, I grew up in Chicago. The Midwest Elite League was what it's called. Michigan, Illinois League was very strong. And I got to play with a lot of great players. And yeah, I met Jordan. He's a 93, so he's 1 year younger than me, but
Mm.
met him. And he's such a great guy and really glad that we were able to play together a few times and really inspired by everything he's doing in the content world. I love that you guys are working together.
Yeah, no, he's like we said before the show
Yeah.
started, like he's really talented at it. To answer your question about the high school thing, I would just say, and it's gonna sound cliche, but it's like actually true to just ignore the noise, keep doing what you want to do, keep doing what you like to do. I think a lot of people get deterred from doing stuff they want to do just based off like whether it's their parents' opinion
Yep.
or someone else, or they're afraid to put themselves out there. Just ignore the noise because there were times where I did listen to it. I almost deactivated all my socials when I was working real estate. I was legitimately like hovering over the deactivate button
Wow.
because I was listening to people that I probably shouldn't listen to. So yeah, I would just say take advice, be open to advice, but don't let anyone deter you from the shit you want to accomplish. Fuck, dude, anything. Look at me. Not that I'm successful or anything yet, but I'm sitting here, so I feel like I'm doing something right a little bit.
You're helping a lot of people get more laughs, and you're also helping people realize being honest and with yourself is super important. I really appreciate everything you're doing to help society, and thank you for stopping by. One thing before we leave is where do we catch you on social? Let's give you some shout outs. So Twitter,
Heat Daddy 69 420. I like how I just sat here and said chase your dreams, and then my name's Heat Daddy 60. Actually, that proves my point. If I could do that, and Heat Daddy 69 420 on Twitter,
Instagram,
Robbie W Gucci. What else? YouTube at Wet Jeans Podcast, and of course Hockey Night in Scottsdale, YouTube and Instagram.
and so you heard it here first. This is Rob Heat Daddy Gucci, an incredible entrepreneur, comedian, social media entertainment personality, and a great friend of the show. We're welcome back anytime. And thank you so much for your time today, all you incredible listeners out here. We want to bring a diverse set of perspectives to the show. We've had CEOs, we've had teachers, we've had superintendents. Content creation is the number one job desire for high schoolers and middle schoolers today. We need to be able to expose these kids and their parents and listeners, anyone out there, to what it's like to be a content creator. And we're so happy we got to have an incredible creator on the show today. Please be ready for another episode soon. We're so excited to host you again. I'm your host, Michael Villardo, and welcome back to On the Subject. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for having me. This is great.